All right. Hello, everyone. Hope you all are having a good evening. Going to be another kind of quieter data stream, I think. Oh my goodness, there's been no music this whole time. Oh. Apologies, everyone. I've been rocking out to some fun tunes, and y'all have just been listening to the sound of silence. Well, hopefully this will be a little bit better. And hopefully that's not going to be... Okay, that looks like a decent volume. Um, I want to do... I've heard that JNet is struggling tonight. I'll maybe check it out in a little bit, but I also want to do some data analysis because y'all have very good ways of looking at data that I haven't thought of. So I want to do that as well. So I'll show y'all some stuff I've been working on right now. So let's pop this into this view so I can zoom out. I don't think I'm as in love with these plots as I was yesterday or last time I did this analysis, but I think it's an interesting starting point, where you can kind of like, this is supposed to be clustering decks by like what they kind of played, and I don't know. It's nothing surprising, right? Like factions look like each other. ASA and PD look kind of close to each other. Sports Medal is off on its own. Op is its own faction, and then you have Outfit as the other faction. And then NEH, Reality Plus, and Asmari apparently all cycle together, except for this one yellow dot out here somewhere. This might be a Proptivost or something. I would not be surprised if this is like an axis that mostly compresses to something like Seamless Launch. And then I did the same thing for the runner side, and it's like, yeah, Arasana is her own little faction, Tau and Lat are basically interchangeable, Essa is her own faction, and then Freedom, Hoshiko, and Lu kind of just a big pile. And then Criminals are a big pile. But what I actually think might be kind of a fun, meaningful thing to do, and this was also some analysis I did like a little bit. Cold Lava Outfit is kind of the distance isn't incredibly meaningful on these plots, but they are closer to each other than they are to the other factions. But they are kind of out in the middle of nowhere. I think the center of the text box is supposed to be on the median value, though it actually might be the left edge of the text box. It's like the median value for that faction. This is decklist similarity by... this is just decklist similarity projected onto a two-dimensional axis. So this is taking... this is using a... What's it called? A UMAP embedding. To take the high dimensional data, so the it's this array that is actually we can just go and look at decklist data, right? So this is actually the runner decklist data, but basically every row is a decklist ID, and then every column is the number of copies of that card that person brought. So it's like it's like sparse hot encoding basically of 0, 1, 2, or 3, or technically 5 or 6, which I'll be honest, like I had to like do some finagling to make Matryoshka not throw off all of my plotting scales, but we got there in the end. So it's basically I feed a very simple machine learning algorithm all of this matrix, and it says, okay, these things are close to each other on some kind of semi-arbitrary axis. And then I, use the IDs to figure out. I associate the identity with that and plot it out. I accidentally, and I think this is more a fun plot than a useful plot. You can color by Corp faction, and like they're actually, it's not like I think it's kind of interesting that there actually isn't a pattern. Like, you have people playing, you know, whatever, like their Corp and runner choices are completely independent. It's not like, oh, the people that like playing ESSA like playing something else. But I don't think that's actually super meaningful. But the thing I actually want to do that I feel like might be kind of fun is looking at breaking out ice and icebreakers and looking at their popularity by deck and kind of maybe like yeah, doing some kind of like popularity analysis so that we can try and answer the question once and for all. If we froze time and you could come back and bring a set of icebreakers, what set of icebreakers should you bring? So I need to do a tiny bit of work, so apologies. I feel like for these, I should like try and get a guest to come on so they can just fill the air while I do coding nonsense. But this hopefully shouldn't be too bad. I think I can just take cards. Is it just JSON data? And then I think I just go. PD. It's just data frame. Beautiful. This is exactly what I want. Okay, cool. So this is going to be cards data frame. Okay, so now we can scroll all the way back to the bottom. Oh yeah, I also made this. I made it and then went, this is like not a useful diagram, but it's kind of fun. So this is a heat map of card usage. So the darker the color is, the more average copies were in a deck. And the columns are the different IDs, just sorted alphabetically. I think you could do fun things by like, if you were really good at data viz, you would probably color code each of these by faction, and probably what you would also do is you would cluster by faction, so you put criminals together. Actually, that could be kind of interesting. Do I know how to do this? Because you could actually make a tree diagram of which things are most closely related. But anyway, yeah. So it's like okay, there's like too many cards, and like yeah, if you could cut down the cards that are pretty frequent maybe to make this diagram actually a little bit more useful. Maybe we'll do that really quickly. Yeah, the black line is just sure gamble, where everyone's playing max copies except for Arasana, which is probably my fault. Okay. So what I want to do is card count, cards by ID, runner, columns, copies per deck. This is where I'm filtering out by 4. Let's just look at this data frame real quick. See, this has my total counts. Okay, great. So maybe we'll do, let's take a look at copies. This is like a thing I did not realize I could do. Unique 86, top 1, frequency 7. I wonder if this will give me. Okay. What if I just take, let's take the median. Is that gonna work? No, it's gonna be like NP median, I think. Hey, cat, going all right. Okay. So if I take this and I just say heat map data, okay, so I want to do this, and I want to, actually, we'll just do query. We want copies. Let's say there had to be, we only want to count cards that there were more than 6 copies of that people played. Let's see how this looks. Oh, that takes it down quite a bit. That's actually much more manageable. It also takes out some IDs, it looks like, which is fine. The strike fund is really interesting to me. Because you don't see it in... Okay, yeah, this is... Oh, interesting. Where's Hoshiko? Hoshiko was playing almost as many strike funds as steel skins? Oh! The decks that were playing strike fund were playing 3 of them. That's what it is. So... I think that's what's throwing off this stat. And that's maybe... How do I want to correct for that? Because it's tricky, because it's like, oh, how, like, of all Hoshiko decks. Because right now, what this number is how many copies were you playing if you played any copies of this? Which is an interesting plot. Maybe not the most useful. Also, the color's not the best for differentiating. And this is still giant. So what if we just said... let's actually go up to much closer to the mean number of copies. Should bring it down a little bit more. No, not that much. Kind of cool. Anyway, while this is a fun graph and all, let's go to the thing we wanted to do, which is this. We want by left on card name, right on title, I think. Left should be fine here. Okay. Hey Ed, I'm doing the Worlds prep for me, as someone who's not playing for Worlds, of just having some fun. But okay. So now what we need to do, I think there's a subtype column, right? Let's take a quick look at columns. What are you called? You should have... Okay, we have strength. That's good. That's probably going to be useful. Slide code... Oh, is it keywords? Let's take a look at keywords. Yes. Okay, so what we want is... okay, so this is going to be... runner cards DF, because I can name things well. And now what I want is icebreakers equals... Ooh, thank you. Let's see what this looks like. Oh, you're not mad, or you're not happy with me. Okay. So runner cards DF, keywords, fill in A, in place true. Beautiful. Oh, Eric, what ideas are going to win Worlds? I'm sure you need this for absolutely no reason whatsoever. What ideas are going to win Worlds? I think Lat and PD are going to repeat. But... Well, I guess PD didn't win last year, but... Is it just to be a Lat Sports Medal repeat? No, I think it's going to be Lat PD. No, I mean, realistically, if I don't want to be antagonistic, I think Hoshiko is probably good enough. And Asa seems maybe slightly better. I don't even know. Shaper did not even get that good of a competitive season, right? It won Worlds, and that was the only thing it's done, and it didn't win a single Continental. No, I think like Hoshiko and Asa would probably be my real bet. But we'll see. Okay. So we've got strengths. We've got So what we could look at, frequencies. You know what? Maybe we actually don't need this particular thing. Yeah, I actually think I maybe want the copy that doesn't have runner IDs in this, because I think it's... I could munge it back, but I think I can just get it without this, right? Just thinking. Yeah, if the UK does the poll, I did decently on the UK poll. I was a little bit off. I think I was like a point too low on Hoshiko or something before I could to not do terribly well. So I did okay. I did about average. Do I just want runner deck lists? I probably just want runner deck lists. Okay. This is what I get for doing data over too long of a time. Scroll, 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 scroll. God, I had to do this on a work call. And it was super awkward. Not this data, obviously. That would be something else. And I've already forgotten the deck list. Runner deck lists. Let's take a look at that. Oh, necklace card data. Let's pop these guys out. Runner deck list card data. Let's just take a quick look. Nope, this still has IDs. Okay. So we're just gonna do this. We're gonna do this in a very silly way, where I'm gonna go group by card name, and aggregate some copies. Actually, no, that's not how you do this. I want copies. Some decks. Some. I think this is going to contain what I want. Let's just see. What I'm trying to do here. Great. This is how many copies of each card showed up and what their stuff was. Though actually I'm doing this in the wrong order. I want to get cards by... I want to do this here. So we can do this. And now if I do this, I think it should have what I want. Great. And then now this should have icebreakers. Okay. Very cool. Great. This is what I was looking for. So now let's sort values by copies. Okay. So, Amakua, to the surprise of no one, most popular breaker, then Carmen, then Cleaver, then Buzzsaw, then Unity, then Slap Vandal, then Capoeira, Shibboleth. Yeah, like these make intuitive sense to me, right? The double count of Corroder, the triple count of the Corroder, don't worry about. Angolo's not super popular. It's about as popular as Ika. Audrey is a thing. Gauss, Begamot, Icebreaker. Okay. Wow. So of the... Actually, okay, now I'm kind of curious. So there's 20 icebreakers used. How many icebreakers... Oh, this is going to include icebreakers that are not legal in standard. So I think there's a reason that Carmen's more popular, but we can talk about that in a minute. Let me go over to NetRunnerDB, because this is a search we can probably do faster on NetRunnerDB. Okay. So what we want to do, I think it's C current S icebreaker. So there's 59, there's almost 60 icebreakers, and only 20 of them saw any play. Yeah, that's interesting. So only about a third of all icebreakers saw any play. Actually, wow. Carmen versus Buzz. Oh, okay, hold on. Yeah. Oh, okay. So we could definitely like break this down a little bit, but I think it's also really this will like something that we can play around with when we get to ice as well. Wait, Berserker. Man. It's funny, if Berserker had like base 3, you could actually get through Bran for like 2 credits, which seems pretty good. But that's kind of funny. Cool. So yeah, I think this is an interesting comparison point that we're basically seeing. And like probably the thing you have to do is break it down. Let me swap back to the code. What are the stealth breakers? Sure. String contains stealth breaker. Let's see if this works. I try this. Okay. There were 12 copies of Taka, so this didn't work. Okay. So it looks like there was no stealth icebreakers. Like literally 0 Penrose, it looks like. But we saw Taka, we saw a Penumbral tool. We saw 3 copies of Penumbral Toolkit. Interesting. Yeah, we'll do the icebreaker. I'm not seeing any stealth here. Yeah, it doesn't look like any stealth. Eric, this is EMEA and APAC Continentals lists that I got my hands on and have parsed. At some point, I want to try and figure out a way to make this public without doxing all of people's deck lists. For Worlds, we might actually just dock everyone's deck lists. But we'll see. Oh, wait. I'm only calling head 20. That's why we're only seeing 20 entries. That makes more sense. Okay, what if I don't call head on this and I just have it? How many rows are there? Well, I'm glad I did, before going too deep down this rabbit hole, I caught that. Oh, okay. So almost every icebreaker got played by someone. Just not much. Like most icebreakers got played by fewer than 1 copy got played. Yeah. Also, for the Carmen versus Cleaver, it's literally a 1 copy difference. So that's probably the fact that Carmen gets played in 2 factions, and it is basically always played as a 2 of, and Cleaver is sometimes played as a 1 of across all 3 factions. So we'll see. But let's grab this and do the same thing for the Corp. So let's get... It's funny because I definitely know I don't, like, I have this... Oh, shit. What? Do I not have cards by ID Corp? Let's look at the Corp cards DF. Okay. Wait, does that not exist? Oh, it doesn't exist. Wow. Popularity by count versus unique decks is a warping system. That's actually a good point as well. So if we look at it that way, that's a good way to think about it. So if we said sort by decks, now we see that Amakua is still the most popular, and Carmen is actually, if you look at it, actually way more popular. It's in almost 20 more decks than Cleaver. That's really weird. That's really weird. I guess Shapers are maybe... Were there people that were running Gauss Carmen? That would be crazy, wouldn't it? I guess maybe some Crims were playing Kurupira, enough Shapers were playing Gauss, but like every Anarch was playing Carmen for some reason. Yeah, that's wild. That's really interesting. Okay, but like, why do I not have Corp data? That's my card list. That's my cards data frame. Which I don't, you know what, let's like delete things that aren't doing anything. Just to make the scroll less bad. Yeah, there's a Corp deck lists. Hold on, let's look at Corp deck lists. Okay, so that's, we looked at that earlier. I have a Goldfish memory while trying to be entertaining on stream. Card popularity Corp is what I'm looking for. Cool, and I think I have card popularity runner that would make this code cleaner. And let's call this, and we want ice, I think. Okay. Let's not look at runner cards, though. Let's look at the Corp cards. What? Why are you mad at me? Why are you mad at me? Corp cards, DF. Oh, I call it total versus dex instead. Yeah. Okay. Well, also let's rename this ice, but why is this failing on me? Oh, because it's not the subtype, it's the type. Ay, ay, ay. Why do you not like type? Type code. Oh. Wait, type code has NA values? What? Corp cards DF. Type code. Value counts. That's not what I'm looking for. I want this. Okay. Valentau does not have... Oh, because I don't... Okay. So this is one copy of the card that I don't have. Because this is using the script text rather than the actual text. Okay. Yeah, you're right, Sads. Like, I can break down deck counts by faction. That's probably what I need to do to get this analysis to be good. Okay. I think I might just exclude these. Wait, but this should... Oh. Wait, did I just not fix this? Does it need to be lowercase ice? Okay, okay. Oh, and then... Drop duplicates. Card name. Great. Okay, so there's 85 unique ice played in the format. And Magnet, Border Control, Drafter, Afshar is in the most... Man, it's funny. Afshar is one of those cards I think is... Maybe it's just that, like, basically every Wayland deck was playing an Afshar. Hey, shoot, we're doing data stuff because I wanted to do data stuff. We might do some JNet later. But I wanted to start with data stuff. Let's look at, like, the top 30 ice or something. Wow, okay. I forgot how many ops there were. And I guess some outfits were starting to run in development as well. Yeah, so we're seeing, like, Wayland Ice is getting really heavily favored because you basically play it in every Wayland deck. So we do need to actually break it down by faction, which also makes sense that we have to do this. But we can start looking at, like, I think in theory, we can start looking at subtypes and saying, like, okay, if you look at barriers, how much are you gonna... like, what are the actual breakpoints you need to hit in terms of strength, right? And then we can kind of go from there. But actually, one of the things I'm really curious about... let's grab this again. I want to look at if we should be playing Mimic. What is it called? Keywords? Contains Sentry. It's probably in capital S, right? Oh, no, you're just mad at me because Keywords has an NA value in it somewhere. Okay. Okay, so actually, this is suggesting to me that maybe you don't want to play Mimic, because it's good against Drafter. It's, like, really good against Drafter. It's terrible against Trebuchet, Anansi, Stavka. It's good against Starlit Knight. It's bad against Winchester. And it's not good against Ansel. And then it's really good against basically everything else you see. If we just want to grab strength stuff. I think, like, the idea would be that you would do something like running a Mimic and Data Suckers and maybe Botuluses. But you start becoming really vulnerable to viruses. Maybe you need to Kobe. Maybe that's the right way to do it. Or you could, like, I guess if you look at, like, an Ice Carver, or if you look at Turbine, That's literally beating everything except Trebuchet and Stavka. Yeah. So, like, if you're looking at sentries, maybe it actually, like, maybe you should, like, this would actually be my thing of, like, maybe why Carmen isn't great. So let's, like, simplify this data frame down a little bit. And we'll get card, we'll get card name. Total decks, copies per deck, and we'll get strength. Right? So if we just kind of simplify this down, I guess actually Carmen's not that bad. Yeah, it's mostly, I mean, it's funny how many sentries are strength 2, especially in the very commonly played, which actually makes some sense, right? That, like, people are going to a sentry breaker that is decently well positioned into the field, where 2 strength is an important number and 4 strength is an important number. That said, like, Drafter being the most common sentry that you're going to see, I think is kind of interesting. And actually, the fact that it's so much more popular than Ansel is really interesting to me. Were there that many HB decks just running Drafter? Or is it just that, like, some sportsmanal decks... I guess I need to start like, I really need to break this out by ID. Or at least by faction, right? Yeah, because it could also be that I know some NBN decks are trying to run Drafter out of faction. Okay, so if I'm going to do it by this, I actually need Corp cards, like, by ID, I think. Which I was supposed to have made somewhere up there. Okay. Deck list, Corp deck list ID. Card popularity. Yeah, Cold Lava, that's probably the analysis that good players got to, is that, like, if you're supporting Mimic, why not just support Carmen? It's basically the same. I think my argument would be base strength 3 to beat the most common sentry in the game is probably good enough. So, okay, where am I getting... Man, this is so weird. I must have made this data. It's like there's not a way I get this stuff easily without it. Is it just called deck list data? No. Oh, is it Corp deck lists? Oh, it kind of can be. Okay. Yeah, Corp deck lists will do what I want to do, I think. Yeah, because this has by ID. And then I can just get that by faction, I guess. Okay. Okay, I should probably leave some notes for myself. I'm extremely tempted to put it in for Echelon in an Arizona deck and just use Takobi, Ika, Slap to deal with big sentries, but I'm not convinced yet. I think that's actually a really interesting question for Arasana, right? Because it's like, okay, Drafter is an annoying ice for you. Trebuchet is actually a pretty decent Slap Vandal target. And then Anansi is almost basically just a hush target, and then you just say, that's probably okay. Stavka, you're actually decent against already, but is a definitely tricky one. But then Starlit Knight, Winchester, it's tricky because so many of these top one, it's like, you want Mimic for Drafter, and Starlit Night probably, and then it's like worse against the next set of popular ones, and then like comes back around to being pretty solid. A lot of Corp's entry choice is also predicated on the fact that the icebreaker that beats the most commonly played killer is pretty ass against everything else. A lot of Corp's entry choice is predicated on the fact that the icebreaker that beats the most commonly played sentry is pretty ass against everything else. Is what I assume you mean. Sorry, I'm gonna have a bite of ice cream while I think here. Oh, it is melted completely on my desk. This is literally liquid. My goodness. 1 second. Let's see. Okay. You know what? Let's do this for other types as well. So I think that's also going to be interesting. Yeah, okay. This is kind of my question. Which is... like, there's always this cat and mouse thing with ice and icebreakers, right? But if I look at this... I'm not sure I should be running Cleaver. Right? Like, what is Cleaver getting me over Corroder on average here? Because everyone's tuned their Ice Suite so that Cleaver doesn't wreck it. In which case, maybe you should get some EV by switching over to Corroder in a couple of places. I think Corroder, Cleaver, like, if you're all in onto Kobe and you're really worried about Bran, I think you have an argument for it. Because that Jacoby beats it cleanly, right? That's the idea. Let's see. I'm gonna just pull up the card in a second. I just have to get to the right place. Oops. Shoot. Alright, yeah, so Jacoby +3 strength, yeah. I mean, yes, it's only 3 to break an Eli 2.0, but also, who's playing Eli 2.0? 5 people? Right? And, like, everything is 1 strength. The most common barriers above 3 strength is envelopment, which, for the most part, you're bouncing off of. And then after that, you're looking at Hagen. And Hagen is probably one of those cases where you do actually want Corroder. Being 1 for 2 in the long... So I guess my argument is I don't think it really is. Would be my point. There's none of these... So, you don't, like... You don't care about the credit against Border Control. It's the same credit against Ablative. It's the same against Tadabola. The same against Ping. It's probably the same against Hagen or better. It's better against Sandstone. It's the same against Wraparound. It's going to be the same against Treeline. It's 1 credit difference for Bran. And it's the same here. It's better here. It's the same here. It's going to be the same here. Like, there's just a lot of this ice where... I think the difference between Corroder and Cleaver is a little bit overstated a little bit. So really what I'm saying is if you're playing Arasana, don't play Cleaver. It's just a mistake. Either like you're paying you're paying you're paying an extra credit over Corroder for basically nothing. Right, but it's like, okay, why would I pay an extra credit for no added value? Is my point here. Like, a lot of Shaper Econ is SMC, get the breaker I need, and spending 4 versus 5 does matter. I mean, it's also why people were running Gauss, because Gauss beats everything here for the same cost as most of that stuff. But I don't know. I mean, so I guess I should say, in my experience, like, you do care about the install cost of your Fractor because you need that early a decent amount of the time. But that's just kind of my 2 cents. Or it's like, the other way to phrase this is, how much value am I gaining by spending 2 influence on Cleaver versus spending 2 influence on a Miss Bones or on a legwork or on, like, that's maybe the yeah, Slap Vandal, Poison Vial. It's definitely something I've played around with a bit, but okay. So we want to get, I've now forgotten what it's deck list. Nope, that's not the one I want. Is it Corp deck lists? Okay, great. So what we can do... How did Chiashi sneak in here? One person registered a Chiashi illegally. They did actually let OP know before the event started, but we did not fix it in the original deck list. They did not realize it had rotated. And actually, I just want title, faction ID. Oh, you doofus. You need the second set of brackets. Okay. Oh, it's faction code, isn't it? Okay. I want left on ID. Okay, great. Okay, so now we go here, we say this is faction coded Corp deck lists. Okay, so now we group this by card name faction code. And I want card count, but I also want deck lists. Sum NP count non-zero. Okay, let's take a faction coded Corp. Deck lists. Oh. Yes. Okay. It was trying to save me from my own stupidity here. The count non-zero is in fact the number of deck lists. Yeah. Okay. Let's go rename card count. Oh, okay. We're gonna do this in the ugly way, but it's fine. Corp card by faction. And Corp card by faction columns is card name, faction, total, and dex. And now I want to get the cards data back in here. I mean, that's fine too. And now we'll do PD merge. Cards DF, and we're going to go on left on card name, right on title. And now we can go Corp card by faction, drop NA. Actually, I think by just doing a direct join, it will drop the non-matching rows. We should be slightly down from 4. Oh, 639. If I go drop duplicates. 638. Wow, interesting. Okay. That's fine. Okay. So now what I want to do is query type code equals ice. Wait, why did it not drop my duplicates here? Let's go. So it's subset, we'll find out. Card name, faction. Okay, yeah, so now we see border control in Wayland, border control in HB, border control in NBN, and border control in Jinteki. So, yeah, you'll see it everywhere. Okay, and now we can also do this with the runner side, so we can see where people are playing Carmen, because that was a question we were asking earlier. And let's just look at the top. Yeah, so everyone's playing border control. A lot of people are... Oh, and I need to... we'll leave this for now. It looks like it's kind of holding on to the old sorting for some reason, which is kind of cool. And yeah, okay, we're seeing a lot of drafter because it is getting played out of faction a bit more than Ansel is, I think. Like if we look, drafter is played in 57 HB decks, and wow, I need to keep going for a lot of this stuff. There we are. Oh, actually only 28 HB decks. So it actually does hold that like almost half of HB decks were running just drafters. That's really interesting. Maybe some of them were running bloops or just running only drafters. That's really interesting. We can subset this maybe to make this less ugly to look at. Okay, faction, total, decks, copies per deck, and strength probably, cost. Yeah. Well, this is kind of cool data. I'll have to think about how to present this. If anyone has good ideas on how to visualize this, I guess you could do stacked bar charts. with coloring by faction. I don't love stacked bar charts personally. I tend to find they don't show as much info as I'd like because they get weird to compare. Like if I want to compare the second, if I want to compare any value that's not on the bottom of the bar chart to any other copy of it, it's just impossible. But I also don't know that I like... I also dislike side-placed bar charts. I think I don't like bar charts very much. I think they're okay when you have a very small number of groups. The table's not very visually exciting for YouTube audience, I think. Oh yeah, color pie, even better. Hey, Augustus. Current conclusions is my hypothesis that people should be playing Mimic is wrong. My hypothesis that Shapers shouldn't be paying Influence for Cleaver, I feel vindicated on. Yeah, I know, D. Like, a heat map is the visually sexy thing to do, even though it's close to useless. Well, okay, it's not close to useless. It's sort of okay, but I guess the other thing that you kind of care about is not just how many decks in Wayland played it and how many copies, but what percentage of Wayland decks played a copy of Border Control. I mean, basically what we're discovering is what you really care about is your opponent's exact deck list, right? And yeah, the question is, how common is each ice? If I sit down, do I have to expect something? Does Seaborn do 3D bar charts? Yeah. Do I do 3D bar charts? No. But I don't... So the problem with... I mean, we could do... Let's... You know what? Let me do a bar chart here, and we can take a quick look at it, and I can maybe try and describe why I don't like them. I think it's just bar plot. Data equals this. X equals card name. Y equals let's say Dex, and then Hue is faction. Let's give this a shot. Can I? Ugh. Yeah. There's a lot of things I need to do to pretty this. Okay, good. I did the one thing there. How do I... Okay. Hold on. Seaborn stacked bar. Ah, it's just stacked equals true. Oh, it's not. What? Nope, that's fuck you, internet, for making me read the full thing. What? I searched Seaborn. Ugh. Wait, does Seaborn not let me do stacked bar plots? That would be really funny if it didn't. Yeah, it's gotta be able to. It's like... People are telling me to use... Like, it's funny, like, people are just not using Seaborn in these demos. Like, they're actually using built-in other stuff. There's gotta be a way to do it, though. Well, we'll look at it. I also need to figure out how to rotate the fucking text. I always hate this. Okay, oops. Okay. Well, that's still not doing the thing I need to do. Which is I also need to go, like, I need to set the figure size. Oh my goodness. I really hate Python plotting when trying to do it with any kind of audience. Like, R plotting is so much nicer. It's just really annoying. Can I just do this without it calling the GX tick labels? No. Oh my god. Could they make this program more annoying to interface with? Oh, I also hate the gray background style. Yeah, like, this isn't super useful. Yeah, D. I might switch back to it. I don't know. I can just make plots so much faster in R, even though I've been now working basically exclusively in Seaborn for like 3 or 4 months. Someone was running Z2. More people were running Z 2.0. Oh, this is just a weird random ordering, it feels like. That's still a surprising number of people. Zed and Echo have the same number, were in the same number of decks. Really? Really? Hold on. Oh, okay, this is saying that Echo is only in 2 decks, and Zed is only in 2 decks. Wow. Absolutely wild. I feel like Echo is a little better than Zed 2.0, but who am I to say? Alright, Dave, waiting. Is it... Do I have to do something weird with the index? Daijin, what's the counter meta? I wish I knew. So far, nothing super obvious has stuck out to me, which makes sense. If it was very obvious, I think people would have found it already, right? I think observations are... Most barriers are either quite high strength or 1 strength with nothing in the middle, which to me suggests that Cleaver is a bit overrated out of faction. SNS Hist plot. Interesting. Do we really want a histogram plot? I don't feel like I want a histogram plot, but I guess I could just do bar plot, probably. And copy some of this other stuff. I'll give this a shot. Yeah, it did not like the multiple equal stack. Yeah, histogram plot is not quite what we want, I think. I guess I could change... Yeah, like the thing is, a histogram plot would make sense if my data was formatted in a different way, I think. Yeah, so I just tried multiple equal stack in the bar plot, and it is not happy with me. So I'm not sure. I'm not going to worry about this too much. I'll maybe try and figure this out before I could do the actual video. Yeah, Seaborn's just such a messy library. Like, I wish the code used all the art, like the ggplot in Python packages were like a little bit better than a little better documented than they are. Because I would just use those all day and not feel bad about it. But there's like every now and again they like don't work and the error message is completely incomprehensible. I think though, let's get the extra value of percentage of decks that are running a card. Is that what we want? Because we sort of decided that the number of copies is not the most relevant statistic. It's how many decks are playing it. And so then you care about this many decks out of all of the decks that could be playing it or playing it. Maybe you want to break that down by faction? I'm not sure. I think what I want to do, if there's anything else I really want to do with this. Do people have things they want to see in this data that maybe I'm not looking at right now? Like, should we look at some other type of card? All right, there we go. Sorry. So, the underplay's a little bit tricky because I would have to make sure that people's names that I have in the database match the names in the final standings, which is non-trivial, and at the same time, like, I want to be a little bit careful because just about what information is out there for stuff. I think that's ultimately the thing I did. But, hey, Gyroscopic. Nothing too exciting. Also, I need to give a huge shout out to Game of Droids, who went through and fixed all the runner and corp ID names so that I can actually do these visualizations. So thank you, Game of Droids. Was a huge help to me. Saved me quite a bit of time. So huge thanks to them for that. So D, one thing I can try is, let's say we look at... okay, because this has columns. So we can do something that resembles a... Okay, if we go into stripped text, contains... Oh no, it's string contains draw. And then let's take a look at this. World's registration, I don't know that it did, but also I never ended up minding it. World's registration for this year, I don't know if it's actually going to explicitly say it on the bubble. Maybe I'll try and get that updated. And if not, we'll do an announcement at Worlds. But I know we have a disclaimer that's saying, like, oh, if you make it in the top cut, your deck list is ours, and it's going to be public. So... Okay, so let's see which of these cards actually draw. Abassi, Anacam, Build Script, Crucipian Skimming, technically, Daredevil, technically, Dreamnet, definitely, Earthrise 3 times. Let's drop duplicates by subset equals title. Hey, Jai. The schedule that we put out today on Null Signal Games, or no, the schedule came out yesterday. Sorry. Assume that the stream starts within 5 or 10 minutes before the round time starts. That would be my approximation. I don't have better times for you than that. There are better times that exist. I just don't have them off the top of my head. So we can get sort values dex. Okay. So when we look at the most popular draw cards by being in decks, it goes Steelskin, Dreamnet, Class Act, Raindrops Cut Stone, Earthrise, Lilypad, Solidarity Badge actually coming in real hot here. Where's Diesel? Oh, do I need to go... There we go. Hey, let's go capitalization. People are playing it, but they're not playing it that much. So, it's the problem was that if it was a uppercase, if draw was the first word of the sentence, it was failing. So that's a little thing to fix. So yeah, Steelskin and Diesel, actually the most popular draw cards, makes sense. Then we've got DreamNet, TCA, Nuka, and then stuff like RDS, Baya, Earthrise, Moshing, Lilypad, Solidarity Badge, Labor Rights, which is, yeah. Couple of Joyride stands out there. Yeah. That's actually... Man, okay, you know what? How can I do this? Right? So if we define this as draw cards, right? If this is our set of cards that define draw, we could probably go back and look at runner decks and see how many cards that say draw on them are there per deck per faction. Now we have no way of differentiating like a Diesel which draws 3 and Baya Bands that draws 1 or a build script that draws 2, like yeah, wow, build script was in as many decks as a Stone Ship Chart Room, which is kind of interesting. Umbrella, some people out there were playing it. Abassi, Zenit Ship, Masterwork. Is this just, did I just call head 30? I did. Let's just try not calling it with a head and see how far it goes. Because I'm like, man, I feel like we're running out of draw cards. Wow, there was someone was playing Verbal Plasticity. That's dedication. Okay, so if I just grab this and I grab I can just grab title, right? And this is going to be draw cards. Now if I call draw cards, we should probably call this runner draw cards, right? So like the piece of analysis that I can't do right now, but would tie this all together, would be to try and separate runner draw cards by like final placement, right? Like, oh, the runner decks that had 9 draw cards did better on average than the runner decks that only included 8 draw cards or something like that, right? But I don't have the data for that, and maybe I should actually put the effort into doing that so that we actually get meaningful data out of this. I think probably making a table of common ice for its strength, its breakpoint by type, having that next to played icebreakers by strength and by type, and you can maybe do a grid and, you know, make an efficiency chart, which I know already exists, but like you back it up by saying not just what's efficient, but what's common is maybe a way to visualize it. Oh yeah, because one of my other pet theories on sentries is that you should just run Revolver instead of Carmen. But I don't think anyone's going to take me up on that, so. But we need to go back to runner... Is it decklist card data? Oh. I need to get better names. Okay, this is the ID. Is this what I want? Not really. That's not really what I want either. Runner decklist, I thought is what I wanted. Do you need 2x? I feel like Boomerang and 1 Revolver is going to break all the sentries you're ever going to need to in a game. Revolver and a Boomerang, I think, get through. Revolver, Boomerang, Amakua seems like all the sentry breaking you're going to need to do. Just as my 2 cents, but I'm almost assuredly wrong about that. Okay, so what I want to do is group by deck list ID. And then... Actually, here, what we can make this easier on myself, right? Which is card name is in runner draw cards. And now I can group by ID. Oh, but I don't want, I want not ID, I want a different value. I want deck list ID. And then we can do, this is where a histogram actually might be useful. Dot hist. What? This should be fine, right? I guess I probably need to tell the card count was the thing I wanted. Oh, I did forget the comma there. There we go. Okay, so this is the number of draw cards in a deck. And so the thing you really want to do is look at how does this influence final placing. How could you do a plot that shows final placing on top of this histogram? I'm not sure you easily can do that on a single axis. You probably need to just, probably what you do. Percent of max by attainable prestige. Yep, that's definitely something you could look at. What does that plot look like? It looks like it's a scatter plot where this axis is the same. This axis is final placement. And then the color of the dot is your number of draw cards. Yeah, that's probably the visualization. I don't love it because you're putting the variable, a variable you care about quite a bit as the color. Maybe you could put the number of draw cards, but I'm not sure. But yeah, this is kind of interesting. Like, it actually is really interesting how the distribution is somewhere between 6 and 9, and it falls off. Like, 9, that's like a pretty narrow distribution. Yeah, that's true. I should probably label my x-axis. X label. There we are. X-axis number of draw, y-axis prestige points, color, number of people falling in there. Yeah. Yeah, that's probably the best way to do it. Oh, yeah, that is the clean way to do it. Where, yeah, the color represents the density, which is obviously the thing you do with heat maps. I don't know why I'm being so slow about it. Yeah, cool. That makes a ton of sense. And we could try to think... Can we do this with gain and see? Let's look at what gain looks like if we, because I don't think credit is text, but we can give it a try. Let's just see what this looks like. GG gain. I just want to see if this looks at all like gaining credits. Credits. No, this does not gain us credits. Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, Diesel and Class Act are not... Well, actually, I would say Diesel and Class Act are actually somewhat... I know they're not comparable, but they're kind of comparable. But, like, a Diesel versus like, a Lily Pad is, like, completely different cards, right? I don't know how you make that comparison. I guess I could also do string contains... credit. Oh, I put this in the wrong place. Yeah, this goes here with string values. Oh, yeah, I see what it's saying. Okay. Yeah, you could get... So, my goal is to try and get the video out before I leave for Barcelona on Wednesday. And so I think coming up with an expected value of cards drawn per card is a little bit beyond what I can do for a video for Wednesday. Yeah. I think it's going to try and do some basic stuff. I probably do just need to suck it up and match decklist IDs to final placings. You know what? I bet I actually have that in a spreadsheet somewhere. And then just make sure that none of y'all ever get that actual data so that I'm not doxing people's multi-month-old deck decisions for a meta that's no longer standard legal. But I want to be respectful of the fact that we haven't explicitly asked for that. But you know what? Let's try and get a game or two at JNet. I think today is going to be a little bit of a short stream because I've been staying up a little bit too late. And for those of you that tuned into Metropol Grid, you got, you know, a good couple hours of me yesterday. Hey, Sonny. It was nice to see you at the GNK last week. Let's see how bad the lag on JNet is. Will we get decklist level data of worlds? It's something I need to figure out. I would like to make that happen. We will see. Okay. Is this... Oh, you know what? We'll play this a little bit more. I'm still not sold on it. I played a very different version, but... gotta say, your Digital Life CI is a hell of an Eternal Gateway drug. It's so sick. It is so much fun. And it's like, you know, I initially thought like, oh, maybe you don't have a place for it in Eternal, but no, it just like, it solves so many problems for you. JNet lag is bad. Yeah, we'll see. I'll give it a game and we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I'm gonna try and make sure that we get decklist data from Worlds. My intent was to do it last year, because I do think that the community would benefit. Oh boy, yeah, we are moving slow, aren't we? We would all benefit from having a little bit more data about the game. This is a bad keep, but all right, we've got a character, I think, or I guess, yep, Y could just be saying hello, Jeff. I guess that is also a possibility. I definitely should draw before I do anything else here. Okay, that's fine. Gotta treat Essa a little bit like a criminal, I think, because a turn of like Ghost Tongue Laundry Shushka's pretty wild, but oh, I wanted to ask, is there any way to restore my stream to the GLC Go Live bot? That's a question for not me, because I don't control that at all. That's a question for GLC. I would probably ask Ed if you're gonna ping someone. Wow, early run on archives when I ditch one from hand. Interesting. Oh, Ginevra's offering to do it anyway. Fantastic. Okay. Draw. New remote. No, we put Rashida in server 1, because either I get to protect it or I don't. Time Bomb is a card I have not seen a ton of. Okay. Great. So we do get to protect it. I don't think I actually used the white space here, though. Let's see what Rad 88. What kind of op is this? Is the calibration to Kana style op that Jack Made was running, primarily I think in Germany. Yeah, I can lose 2 cards from the deck here. I'm personally not super high on it. I think there's better things you can do. The thing I found, actually, so I played an op at my GNK last weekend. I went undefeated on op. I went not so good on Arasana, but I played against some of the good local players. And what I found was that Seamless Launch was doing more for me than calibration testing ever has. But you know what? I actually might shuffle my deck here. I actually feel like that might have been the right choice. Okay, so let's... I don't like putting Winchester not on HQ, but I think it's probably okay to put this on R&D. I'm not under a lot of pressure here. Oh, maybe I'm supposed to do that, but... and when I say that, I mean purge with the virus, get it to Kana, trash the hostile, score the hostile takeover with the slash and burn agriculture. But I think I have safer lines here. Time Bomb is sick value off of Biobands for sure. Yeah, we have a pretty good hand here, I think. Okay, so I think this is just, yeah. Install, advance, res, purge virus counters, search for a Tucana, put it in server 1, and we'll score the hostile. We'll trigger hostile. I think we're going to go and just put a... you know what? Let's just go and put a magnet on server 1. We'll trash this ice wall from our hand. Because we're going to be trashing more from the top of the deck with the time bomb here. So I wanted to try and limit the amount of gens that we're going in. A single hostile is actually great, considering that we've sabotaged like 5 or 6 cards here, I think. Actually, maybe more, right? 3 off a time bomb, and then 2 core, so that's 7. Plus an agenda score is 8. This is awkward because I've doubled up code gates on server 1, but I think that's alright, all things considered. I can go for a, like, Atlas Slash and Burn Audacity. To trade 2 points with my opponent, but have an Atlas counter and a Tucana trigger. Putting something like just putting something on Archives is fine. Do I need the extract? Yes. Yeah, maybe I actually do just want to kind of really push the Atlas here. Am I that worried though? I think I'm okay to draw. Push an Atlas. Push the Rashida. Yeah, it's also probably that I'm supposed to just install Advance the Atlas with my opponent on 0 credits. It's actually definitely correct, even with the Fermenter going. I might even just... Like, this should be read as a Spin Doctor, to be honest, but I guess I don't need to do anything about it till my opponent gets to 2 credits. I might actually put a border control on Archives here. It just makes their life much more annoying. Alright, let's go lag. Could also put an ice wall there, I guess. It's maybe a little bit better. The reason it's a little bit better is because it lets me go and extract to get a Spin Doctor, which is a valuable card in the matchup. This is the thing I don't like about Slash and Burn, but this is also where I'm getting punished for not advancing the Atlas. And instead doing this weird Rashida play that looks like I might get away with, but my opponent is back in the money. Yeah, I'm not going to get away with this Rashida play. I probably do get away with it in the remote, maybe. But we'll see. Okay, that's good. So I'm going to click to draw. I think I can keep the Spin Doctor in hand and go for double remote. This will be the first time calibration testing does anything for me. If this actually goes off. Though it won't have a good 2 costs for me to actually grab because I already have the Tucana down. Got white space, but I don't have... Yeah, there's like... This is part of the thing, is like, I actually think this deck is... It's got 5 ways to trigger. And only like 1 good target. Which I just find to be a ratio that seems massively incorrect. Yeah, it runs Staff Hofrun. All right, we're doing some punching, as my opponent's saying. 4 cards in the bin. 2 Spin Doctors is a toughie. I guess, but fortunately this turn I can do some nonsense, so I think we're okay. Yeah, this one's on Stavka half run, though only 1 of each, which also seems just very greedy. Or no, it's 2. Oh, I think I changed it to be 2 Stavkas. I was just not a believer in the 1 Stavka. So we do get Rashida Fire, so we probably score here. Sure, we'll shuffle for fun. Oh, beautiful. Oh, wait, my frickin' spin doctor is in my hand. Ugh. Oh, well. Okay, so we're going to do something that's a little bit funky, I think. Oh, this is what we do. Okay. Wow, this is such a weird line. Okay, so I'm going to res this spin doctor. Shuffle and remove to shuffle back the 2 spin doctors. Then pop calibration test. Oh, I'm an idiot because Yep, I'm just an absolute buffoon because I accidentally popped the... Lol. Okay. Well, we'll just not lose this turn. And then it'll be fine. Malapert Data Vault is a dead card now. Okay, so the mistake I popped Rashida for literally 0 reason and then stuffed my ability. So my plan was to install Spin Doctor, use the Spin Doctor, shuffle back 2 Spin Doctors, and then cycle the Spin Doctor, like get another Spin Doctor going on the board. But yeah, it would have been a very cool play. I think there's the downside of I suddenly have to discard. Like, I end up drawing up to like 8 or 9 cards, I think. So I end up discarding a lot. But it would be a very neat play. But, like, it feels flashier than strong, I guess. Excuse me. Yeah, I'll res a Winchester here. I think I don't mind it. This not ending the run does stink. But I think this is good enough. Okay. This is the first one. Trash one installed program. I think this is okay. Yeah, do you want to keep your console or your botulus? It's a tough question. Yeah, Winchester, biggest glow up of any card I've seen. Though I'm also not too unhappy when my opponents play it. I'm playing Arasana. I can usually find a way to make it pretty manageable. But let's see. Yeah, I'm probably giving up 2 points off the top here. Oh, I guess maybe I'm not, because I have 4 points there. So what do we have? We've got 6, another 6, so there's still 8 points left in the deck. So yeah, we're giving up 2 points here, I think. But let's see. Oh, interesting. They care more about their botuluses than they do about their marrow. Interesting. They probably do have another one. Oh, yeah, I guess you're right. probably the idea. So I think if they install another one, I basically have to sabotage the Stavka and the top card of R&D. It's actually good for me if they sabotage here, I think. Amusingly. And they had enough to trash a Spin Doctor. Yeah, it's funny. Anything they install... Ooh, that's not a card I was expecting them to install. Oh, that's good for me. I think I have a 3-coster left. Let's find out. Oh, you know what? I don't. I'm pretty sure. Oh, okay. Sandstone on HQ is fine. And then we put a border control on R&D. We probably just put the slash and burn in server 1. Oh, you're totally right. We should have drawn for it. I forgot that I can double... I have 2 fast advance tools in hand. Yeah. 100% I should draw for it there. 100%. Yeah, it's... I think we hit most of the time, because I think it's an Atlas and 2 Azefs and an Above the Law left or something like that. Or maybe one... Yeah, this deck's on some... Oh, maybe this deck's not on Above the Laws. Yeah, okay, so there's... Okay, it must just be... I think they might be able to get into the remote. It depends if they're all in on Botulus. So Shishu, the reason it's correct for me to draw there is with both Audacity and Slash and Burn in my hand and 5 cards, I can click 1, draw. Oh no, it's too slow. Click 1, draw, click 2, install, Slash and Burn. I have enough tools, but I don't have the... Spicy. Okay. Let's see. So, this gets them quite close to winning the game. We're gonna fire this. Gonna search. Ah! Okay. Well, that's a bummer. So, this game got closer than it needed to be due to a couple of mistakes. Yeah, there's some... I have some real questions about this Ice Suite. It looks suspicious to me. You have so few 3-cost targets. Like, when you look at... Well, let's go... You know what? Before I malign it, let's make sure I haven't just made the deck way worse. I was like, oh man, one of these viruses is going to do some damage. Hey, we hit an overclock, not too bad. Oh wow, and it goes into purge again. Man, if only we had a gain a credit whenever you purge card. That'd be something, wouldn't it? Let's do it the fun way. Yeah, I mean, Sandbox wasn't whenever. To its credit, Sandbox committed some real sins, but it was limited to once per turn. But Um, I don't know. 6 cards to me is actually pretty common, but Sandbox was once per turn. I actually, I lost a game to Pincel because I had to purge to break Clot Lock and then needed the 4 credits off of the Sandbox so I could combo off the next turn. I couldn't do it, and he was able to reestablish Clot Lock before I could win a game. So... yeah, so it was like, I was... this must have been Continentals 2020, I think. You can probably still find it in the VOD, because I always get streamed losing to Pincel. Okay, so let's look at Jackmate's original deck so that I can shit on it after he so nicely said, go and look at this. Oh, okay, he's on 3 Sandstone, so I did in fact make the deck worse. Yeah, I went into 2 Sandstones. Cool. So I made the bad decision there, not Jackmate. Now, I think there's other questionable things, like only having a single magnet seems completely wild to me. The border control to fetch the opposite type is like such a big deal. All I remember was Bridgman beating me over the head with Sandbox 3 games in a row in the first online standard event I ever played. Oof. Also having to play against Bridgman 3 times in one event. I guess in Swiss and then like double limb in the cut or something. No Afshar. I agree with the no Afshar. I think Afshar did get significantly worse when the runner isn't paying 3 credits to break it. A 3 credit cost 3 for every single runner is okay. It's not great anymore. When it costs an Anarch 9 credits to get it into HQ, great. Afshar is the best piece of ice in the game, and it's also hippo proof. We're just the slot is tricky. White space over Afshar actually also makes sense to me, because you need a 2-cost ice target. Right now, so if you look at the deck, actually, can I look at... Beautiful. Partition by cost. This is one of the most important things you need to look at in an op list, is what are your kind of transition points. I don't think... White space, actually, I think you could make a pretty good argument that there are better 2-cost ice in the format. They just all cost influence. Or suck when rezzed. Like, so you could play Tatubola for 2 influence. You could play Ablative Barrier for 2 influence. You could play Echo for 1, maybe? And you don't want to be tutoring a Forma carry because it turns off its only good ability. So it's just like when you look at the 2 costs in faction for Wayland, it does end up being white space as your best option. Wraparound's another good shout, Shishu. That's not a terrible one, but again, it costs influence. And it's is the wraparound worth 1 influence when you could put that 1 influence somewhere else? My general sense right now is that wraparound is... I definitely have seen people do it. I mean, to be honest, to me, it's one of the reasons I'm most skeptical of calibration testing. It's cool, but I don't think it actually does that much for you, except when you're already ahead, and you're spending 6 influence for that privilege. So... I expect that if, for example, there's an in-faction way to cycle ice back into the deck, then Tatu Bola stocks get a lot higher in Ob. If you could cycle cards in HQ. Yeah, like, if Op could run Simulation Reset, I think they would. And I don't think Calibration, Cali, Ob, Oberth, like, it's definitely an idea. It's just really hard because you start, like, the deck, right? This deck is already running 11 agendas. If you have to include plans that forfeit standoffs or whatever, like suddenly that's your like a quarter of your deck is agendas, which is a little excessive. And actually, Jackmade calls out specifically replacing the Afshar with a Hordem. Hordem being 4 strength is good for both Buzzsaw and Shibboleth, I think is a great shout out. Afshar's great in HQ, but Winchester is mostly better, I agree. And you still have the Magnet. To me, I would play the second Magnet. I've been less and less convinced by Half Run, especially if you're doing a single Stavka. I feel like this just makes no sense to me. But the thing I would look at is, can we cut the Kali testings entirely? The list that I brought to my GNK, I don't think I played on stream at all because I wanted to make it. I wanted to have a little bit of secret tech for my GNK because I guess I'm just that sweaty. But off the top of my head, it looks something like... just go hostile takeover. Where are we? Oaktowns and was it on and above the law? I think it was 1 above the law and then 2 off-world offices. 2 seamless launches. I think gyroscopic, I think it's because being an upgrade is convenient. We saw in that last game that I did Rashida and calibration testing in the same server, which is, I think, the reason that you play that over Bass. That would be my guess as to... we can go and look at the original write-up and see if he mentions Bass. He doesn't actually mention Bass. I definitely was of the opinion for a while that Bass is just the better fast advance. I think you can make the argument that being an upgrade is worth it, though I don't know how often that ends up being true in practice. I think my list was like 2 Stavkas, a Winchester, 2 Magnets, 2 Sandstones, 3 Border Controls. Did I run it in development? I feel like I ran 2. Yeah, it is also saving 1 credit in exchange for being 2 cheaper to trash. And it's the same influence, right? Tucana, 2x, Virus, 3x. Actually, you know what? Hold on. Let's just get this deck out. Okay, yep. Oh, right. I did a lot of cute little stuff with this. I tried to steal from Jackman because I think it made some really good decisions. Malapert, Spin Doctors, Rashida. Yeah, this is the one from... yes, Sonny, this is the deck list from Saturday. I realized I yanked my mic out mid-sentence there, so hopefully I got back in the right thing. Oh, right. I'm still on Managarn because I'm a big believer in it. It definitely did at least some work for me on the day. Regalith, which I don't think did any work for me on the day, but it threatened to. Wow, this is a weird ass list. No, I actually don't think you need Formicary. I think Formicary is pretty bad. You can definitely, like, you can disagree with me and play it, and maybe you'll do well, but I think it's mostly a mistake to play Formicary and Op. Is that 3 sandstones? 1. The reason being, you don't want to tutor it, you don't want to draw it in the early game, and it only combos with a 1 of in your deck, so it's like not the best. Boredom. I must have another 1 of in here because this list is just a million 1 ofs. Oh, and a 1 of Audacity. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, so this is like a really quirky little list. I guess I did go down to 15 ice from 17 at Continentals. Yeah, so Galar, my thinking is that. So here I can. The best way to do this actually here. I'm gonna save this. Let's go. I want to show you why. Super heavy. Let's see if that works. Cool. GNK list. Okay, so I think the first question is, what do you take out? Let's say we take out an envelopment because we don't like the envelopment, right? And then we put the former carry in, and then we go to check. We go draw all, reset 5. So I'm gonna well, let's just see, right? Okay, so here, this is a game where we don't draw the former carry until we are done with the game. And if we don't draw the former carry, it's a blank card in our deck, right? We literally have to draw the entire deck before we see a former carry. And yes, there's shuffles, but let's assume that basically this is the order after you resolve each shuffle, because the unordered cards remain the same, right? So we draw the former carry at the very end. Okay, so it did nothing for us here. Okay, so we get it here, but we get it along with Winchester and Stavka, so we can't score anything behind any of these 3 ice. So, okay, maybe instead of cutting the envelopment, we need to cut a Winchester or a Stavka. Well, Winchester or Stavka is the big way you make a runner fuck up, right? So we're paying a pretty steep cost to put this former carry in. The argument being we're going to get 1 extra trigger off of a Managarm Skunkworks. Okay, well, that's not great. So that kind of is crummy. Once again, here we're just getting very unlucky. Former carry is literally at the bottom of the deck. Here, former carry is the top. We actually have other stuff. We might be able to, with the second Mavirus, go and get a Managarm. And so, again, once in the game, we'll be able to make the opponent pay 5 instead of getting in, right? And that's definitely valuable. I think, though, if I'm okay, what is my ice doing? Is it making my opponent play 5? Well, envelopment's basically going to be pretty similar, and I can sell this down to a border control. Now, you could say, okay, the correct thing to do is go to more forma carries, and we then have a 2-part problem where we need to put a few more 3 costs into the deck so that we can more reliably find our Managarm, and then we have to draw our forma carries naturally. But if we have 2 former carries in the list, we're going to have a lot more openings where we can't score behind the former carry. And it just kind of sits on a central doing nothing for us. So Managarm former carry is very strong, but I think it's better in a place like Asa right now, especially Stegodon Asa, than it is in Op. Because, as you're saying, in this particular list, Managarm is a 1 of, and that just makes it really hard to line up. And this list is rushing. I think if this list was going really slow, then like if you change this agenda suite and move it to mostly 5/3s, I think Managarm Forma Carry Op could be really interesting and something that worth trying, but not something that fits with this style of deck, which is trying to rush out pretty quickly. That would be my thesis as to why you shouldn't play Forma Carry, even though we are going to play Managarm. What I found on the day is one game, like sometimes you draw the Managarm and you just put it in the remote and you're pretty happy. Sometimes you put the Managarm on the central and you're okay. And just having an extra target for the if you like draw your Tucana and the Mavirus, it lets you get some actual value out of stuff. So that's my thoughts. I think I'm gonna actually call it a night a little bit early. If people want to, they should check out the Eternal stream I did yesterday with Andre. That was a lot of fun. I think y'all will see me hopefully on the video before I go to Worlds, and then I'll see some of y'all at Worlds. Come up and say hello. I will enjoy meeting people. I will probably be masked, but please, I still want to come up and say hello to people, and I will see you all there. So thanks everyone, and have a good night.